What's up, everybody? It's your boy Devon Taylor here, aka Deezus, and this is my podcast, Deezus Take the Reel. No, this is not a religious podcast. It's a podcast where we're talking movies, we're talking life, we're talking all sorts of crazy shit. And on this one, we're going to get real feely and sappy on you guys because we are talking coming of age movies. And I got a fellow romantic here, if you will. I think I can classify you as that, right?
Oh, definitely.
Because
all of my exes would definitely say I'm a hopeless romantic.
Oh yes, like if you're a hopeless romantic, this episode is for you guys. Welcome to Deezus Take the Reel. This is it's a late night talk show where we talk movies, obviously, but we pick a theme and we will play a game and we will talk a couple of movies according to that theme, and then we will tell some stories as well. So you're getting a little bit of everything. And I am usually joined by a guest, and on this episode, I definitely am. He is a good pal of mine, and it's funny that I say good pal when we literally have actually just officially met today, but internet friends are the best, guys. He is a writer, a film critic as well. He is editor-in-chief over at geeksandgamers.com. He is a fellow movie talker as well. Shout out to Movie Talk by Movie Fans. We are currently in Chicago right now. But like I said, I'm super excited for this episode, is Jonathan Youngblood.
Well, hello, Deezus Take the Reel fans. You know, I think it was when you first started the podcast that you first reached out and said we should do an episode, and it's been how long since then that we finally can sit down and do this shit.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, you were supposed to be like one of the first guests on the show.
I think I was going to be like episode 4 or something like that. And
yeah, like you were going to be pretty early on, and then I don't know what happened.
I think it was right around when Screen Junkies started to really take off.
It was Screen Junkies, and then I was like still trying to figure out like how to record Skype calls and stuff for episodes and stuff. But then at the same time, in the back of my head, I was like, we're gonna meet in person soon at some point.
Yeah, you're not that far from me. Like we're like a decent day's drive away.
Yeah, we're really not that far away from each other either. Yeah, that's really true. But yeah, no, I was like, our paths will cross at some point. So I was like, I'd rather wait until we can record in person, and then boom, Facebook hits us up.
Exactly. Mark Zuckerberg's generosity to Facebook admins was the thing that brought us finally into the same room.
Hey, whatever it takes. That's all I care about. But yeah, but obviously, you know, we're talking, we know each other. But the people out there don't know who you are. You know, the famous intro segment for Deezus Take the Reel, the opening segment is, who the hell are you? Like, so from the words of Mr. Youngblood himself, tell the people all the things you kind of do.
Well, in general, I'm just someone who talks way too much online, but I like to fancy myself a very amateurish film critic. I am, like you said earlier, editor-in-chief of geeksandgamers.com. So if you like gaming, if you like movies, if you like entertainment in general, you should totally check out our site. It's growing way faster than we ever expected. And also, I am an admin over on Movie Talk by Movie Fans, the Facebook group Devon's always pimping out here, and I love driving conversations over there and helping people get to know each other better. I basically took a bunch of our best members, Devon included, and threw them into group chats about almost a year ago at this point, and just started saying, you know what, let's start actually working together and developing some more like professional film related relationships so we can keep moving each other forward. And I had my 5 minutes of fame on Screen Junkies, where I got to have my ass handed to me out in Los Angeles.
Did you get your ass handed to you? I mean, you obviously won your first match.
I won my preliminaries.
You won the first match, and man, compared to the second match, like it was night and day between those two matches. But man, no, you killed it on Screen Junkies. Like, it was like so surreal, like watching you do Screen Junkies.
It was really weird because that first match was really high energy, so I got to like completely cut loose. That second match, everyone was a lot more even keeled. It was a lot more calm, so I had to like hold back and keep from getting too. And you kind of felt like you were you kind of just got the feeling like, oh, maybe I should kind of reel it. But I don't think so. I would have been hyped for both of them. Like, I wouldn't have cared at all. I didn't want to play the heel too much. You know, you got to keep the fans happy.
I remember when this was going down. So for those of you who don't know, Screen Junkies does movie fights, and they gave an opportunity for the fans to come on and do another fan fights tournament style, and Johnny made it in. I remember though whenever they had the category for the audition or whatever, and you sent me your answer, and I was like, fuck, that's a really good answer.
Yeah, no.
And I thought I came up with a good answer, but I was like, nah, it wasn't.
The funny thing is, on my interview with Andy Signor, the producer at Screen Junkies, he legitimately said, we almost disqualified you, because I picked Elephant Love Medley from Moulin Rouge, which is a combination of a bunch of like pop songs. So the question was best pop song in a movie.
It plays.
And Andy was like, we almost disqualified you because we didn't think that counted. But he was like, you know what? We liked your audition, so he said, sure, we'll let him in. But I almost fucked myself out of getting on the show.
I don't know. I think it counts. I think it plays.
I do too. I think it's a great pick.
Because it was best song used in a movie. That's what it was. I picked A Real Hero from Drive, which I made a good argument for it. But then I also remember messaging. I was like, I thought of the perfect answer afterwards. It was too late. Kiss from a Rose.
Oh my God.
From Batman Forever. I would have been there with you.
There were a lot of really typical picks that everyone went to, so it's all about finding one that stuck out.
I was like legit mad afterwards. I was like, Kiss from a Rose is one of the best songs on a soundtrack of any movie ever.
Maybe most iconic we can go with.
No, I'm saying it's one of the best ever. No.
I mean, Seal and best don't often get put in the same sentence.
Hey, it is Seal's best song to date. You know how much I love Batman Forever. I can't help it. I love that movie so much.
We've tried to help you so much, but it's just not going away.
You try to help, but then me and Caleb both have that Batman Forever love, and we're just like, no, it's so much fun, and it's bad and good. But yeah, so definitely that's who Jonathan is. You know, we this is what we do on a daily basis. We literally just talk about movies. We got our own, like I loved our own little private message and everything. It's just like, it's great. Like, this is what we do.
Devon keeps me up to date on all of the movies that I need to see that I would have never thought to see.
That's all I want to do for the group. I just try to bring the weird, man.
Well, you definitely do that.
That's all I'm here for, because, you know, oftentimes, like, I love our group so much, and it's like everybody's so passionate, and I feel like people take movies too seriously sometimes.
Exactly.
And every once in a while, I'm just like, yo, like, can we just like talk about how weird this dumb, stupid movie is?
And then there's you over there telling everyone to go watch The Love Witch, which I still haven't gotten around to saying. I need to see it.
That's a legitimate good movie. My favorite thing is, ever since being in like this the movie space, film Twitter, if you will.
Oh God.
That makes me laugh. But I remember one time, so you remember when the Wild Man, Josh McCouga, hosted Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Oh yeah.
He even shit on me one time. He shit on me on Twitter because, well, they did a Batman Forever episode, which is awesome.
Okay.
But then I said my other favorite Guilty Movie Pleasure is Wild Wild West. And McCouga shit on me on Twitter.
At this point is where I get up and leave the room.
What?
It's a Will Smith classic, I guess, but
that movie is a classic. Like, when you hear the story on how the giant mechanical spider made it into this movie, like, the story alone makes the movie worth it. I love that movie so much. Good old steampunk Civil War. It doesn't get much better than that.
Because we all know that what we need in the world is steampunk Will Smith right there.
I watched this movie like really, really stoned one time. Like, me and my friend Levi's been on the show. We got real stoned to watch this movie one time, and I just never realized how I started calling it the convenient West, because that's really what that whole movie is, and it's kind of magnificent. So in its like, own way.
It's a crash course in how maybe not to construct a plot sometimes.
Like, what do they call it on Simpsons? Like Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, that's what Wild Wild West is, like, just that right there. It's real funny. But I'm getting sidetracked, guys. We are going to skip on over to the game because we're going to play a game. And this isn't really a game, I guess. It's more we just want to pitch some fun movies because, Jonathan is very experienced. He's, you got to do a pitch on movie fights as well.
I did. I'm trying to remember what that was even. January feels like a lifetime ago, man.
Right? Oh, my God. It really does. But Jonathan's experienced in this, and so we are going to pitch our own coming-of-age movies. So something interesting that I've noticed about coming-of-age movies is, like, it's had its formula down-packed for, like, 40 years. Like, it hasn't really changed. Like, coming-of-age movies have been, you get beat for beat, and it works most of the time. Like, if you want a hit movie as a young director, you either do a horror movie or you do a coming-of-age movie. That's usually how it seems to go. So we're going to pitch you a stereotypical coming-of-age movie of our own lives. So I gave you some time to mull on it a little bit. Do you want me to go first, or do you got something good?
Well, that is entirely up to you, Deezus.
Well, you're the guest, so I want you to go first.
Okay,
because I want to be a gentleman. But
I mean, is it a gentleman to make the person be on the hot seat? I mean,
see, that's why I asked, because I'm like, if you want some more time, I'll give you some more time.
No,
like,
I could probably go for it. I've been thinking about this for a little while.
So go ahead and pitch us Johnny Youngblood's coming of age movie.
Well, I don't know how stereotypical it's going to be because I've always I've been writing a coming of age book or movie about my growing up years for the last 2 years now, trying to get something out. One of my favorite coming of age movies that I feel like is completely underrated. People don't pay enough attention to it. It's called It's Kind of a Funny Story.
I love that movie.
It is amazing, starring Zach Galifianakis.
I was gonna bring that up later because I watched that and Perks of Being a Wallflower for the first time in the same night.
That would be brutal.
That was so much cry. It was by the end of it, it was like 5 a.m. and I was just sitting there crying, but I was so happy though too. It was amazing. But go on.
But yeah, It's Kind of a Funny Story is in my top 20-ish of all time. My favorite movie of all time is a movie called Short Term 12, starring the great Brie Larson. Growing up, I spent a little bit of time in some treatment for depression and anxiety, and it was one of them. We called it back then. We called it Summer Camp for Psychos because they get a bunch of us teenagers in the same place where we spent about 2 weeks there, and it was a bunch of us who were there for pretty dark reasons. But it was a bunch of people between 13 and 18. And we literally just spent the day hanging out and talking about life. I met some of the most amazing people I've ever met there. And I've always thought about that period of time and thought that would be maybe a little bit too deep and too dark for some people movie, because It's Kind of a Funny Story did a good job, but it kind of painted it with kind of a light brush.
Yes. For a movie set in a psych ward.
It definitely
not a psych ward, but you know what I mean.
We called it a psych ward. It's IMDb's summary calls it a psych ward, so we'll go with that.
Okay, so then I don't feel bad. It's a psych ward, but yes, I get exactly what you mean. Trying to balance those two.
Exactly. So the creative team behind It's Kind of a Funny Story, the directors of that, actually are on track to make Captain Marvel later on. So they are really starting to take off. So if I were to get my dream directing team, it would be getting them back in, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, excuse me, and get them back behind the director's chair. And dream if I could get Steven Chbosky, who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, who we're going to be getting to later on in the show. I would love to have him pen a screenplay, and just talking about just the things that bring people together in the most unlikely of circumstances. There was a lot of situations that happened there. My first girlfriend I met at the psych ward. We dated for all of like 3 weeks, and it completely didn't work, as one would think. This was back when I believe it was 14 or 15. So imagine how socially inept I am now, and then go back 7 years. But no, it would just be a really personal level story about a bunch of people who, honestly speaking, not all of us made it as far as I have now. I've been keeping track of a lot of us, and some people gave up a little earlier, and there's a lot of darkness and a lot of sadness in there, but there's also a lot of hope, because those 3 weeks kind of made a lot of us who are still around who we are today. I've been grabbing lunch with someone that I met there for a couple times for the last couple weeks now, and just kind of catching up again. And it's amazing how far life has taken us because of things we learned there and because of things that people told us while we were there. So that would be my mildly stereotypical but also a little bit different spin on a coming of age movie.
And who's playing you?
To be honest, there aren't a whole lot of like young South Korean stars in American cinema. K-drama is a beautiful thing, and there are a lot of talented actors there, but not a whole lot that have made it big in the States. So it would probably be an unknown. To be honest, the people who would probably fill out the cast would be the barrage of Midwestern white teenagers who were at the psych ward with me. We'd probably get some pretty decent names there, but for me, it would probably be someone picked off of a show from South Korea who could pull off my brooding, awkward 14-year-old look.
14? You gotta give yourself more credit here. I mean, you definitely look like a very good-looking 19-year-old.
Well,
Yeah, because you got the facial hair sprouting there. But.
I will probably look 19 for the rest of my life.
And that's not a bad thing. I don't want to ever get old. I tell people this all the time. I'm not going to. I'm not going to get old.
Well, see, podcasting keeps you young, obviously. It's why we keep doing
Something
this.
like that.
We stay relevant this way.
But no, that sounds like a good movie. I like the directing choice as well. You should check out a movie called The Road Within.
The Road Within.
It sounds like you would love it because it's a kind of something that you experience. It's these 3 teenagers at this camp, but it's like for people with like more serious cases of either depression or it has Zoe Kravitz. And her character is like bulimic as Dev Patel.
Okay.
And he has really bad OCD.
Okay.
And then Nathan Sheehan, if you've seen Misfits.
Okay, yeah.
And he has real bad Tourette's. And it's like takes place and then they break out and they go on this road trip.
You're pitching something right up my alley, so I like the sound of this.
Well, we're talking coming of age movies, and that's it's another coming of age movie, and it's really good. You should check it out. But no, I really dig that pitch. Okay.
So what would be your pitch, Mr. Devon Taylor?
Okay, so my pitch, I've been trying to figure it out. So, like my life, I've had some I've had some very dark places, some lows, but not as bad as other people, I'd say, but there is going to be some depth here. But at the same time, like what makes my life very interesting is like things happen to me that you wouldn't think happened to like people in real life. Like things happen to me. Like if you guys listen to D's and T Money, like all the stories that me and Tyler tell about our friendship and like some of the things we encounter, like are all 100% real. Like,
oh yeah, one thing I can verify about Devon, like there is no bullshit here. Like he does not mince words. Like he just goes for it.
Things happen. So I want to kind of mix this like the dark stuff with this like surreal aspect as well. And so I chose for my director, I chose Ben Stiller.
Ooh.
I think he's an underrated director when you look at the films he's directed. He's got The Cable Guy, fantastic movie, Zoolander, Tropic Thunder, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. He's a very capable director. But specifically in Zoolander is kind of what I want to go for. Like I said, with having these dark elements. Well, there's nothing really dark about Zoolander, I suppose, except assassinating the prime minister so kids can work for free.
Not being able to turn certain directions is a very, very serious problem.
Yes. Fun fact, I never knew what that meant whenever I was a kid. And it boggled my mind. I was just like, what are they talking about? And I was so confused. But anyways, but Ben Stiller, I think, is a great director. So that's who would helm this project. And it'd be just it would take you through these lows, the very low lows and like very high highs. Like there's not gonna be an in between in my movie. There's gonna be just like sometimes when you're real sad and you're getting some real shit, and then there's times that you are like wondering if you're still watching the same movie. So that's kind of what I'm going for, but I want this surreal aspect. So I want this kind of like Zoolander tone to it.
Sounds like you're pitching me like a Linklater movie on LSD. I kind of like the sound of this.
I mean, it's going to be weird, obviously. And as my, obviously Max Landis is going to write it for me.
Well, of course. I mean, you need a genius to write this. Like, there's no way around it.
Oh my God, a Max Landis, Ben Stiller team up. That sounds really cool.
Terrifying, but awesome.
That sounds awesome.
We need to have a Max Landis episode one of these days.
That's one of my goals for this LA trip. I'm gonna track Max down, even though I think he's in like Canada right now. But
close enough.
But I'd love for him to write my movie. His directorial debut, Me, Him, Her. I really connected with that. So like I feel like it matches up pretty well with like the comedy I want to go for. And then playing me is an actor. He's up and coming. He's got some projects coming up. You mentioned one of his movies, Short Term 12. I'd pick Lakeith Stanfield. I don't think we look terribly alike because we don't really. But he is tall, skinny, black guy. But he's a very good actor. I think
he's only 25.
He's really young. Yeah, he's really young, and I'm really excited for all the stuff he's got coming out. Like he's got a bunch of movies coming out the next like couple of years. But I think he could pull off what I want from a performance of me. I don't know what he'd do in the hair department though.
Well, makeup. Makeup's a great thing.
Because that's gonna be the hardest task of. I'm gonna be a consultant on my movie just for the hair. Like I just want to be like. Well, you do
have amazing hair.
I just want to be like the hair has to be on point. That's all I care about this movie. They're like, but he does. What about the tattoos? I'm like, fuck the tattoos. Give him good hair. Like that's all I'm really worried about. But yeah, that'd be my coming of age movie, and it'd be like I said. You're just kind of going through. My life with these extreme low lows and high highs, and you're just like, it's just a roller coaster of a movie.
I'll say Lakeith Stanfield, Ben Stiller, and Max Landis is possibly the weirdest team I've heard in a while.
Yeah, no, I bet they don't even know each other.
I'm pretty sure that's a fair bet.
Yeah, no, that is a really weird trio, but I'm into it.
I'm really into
it. I was struggling with who I was gonna pick for the director, but then I was like, no, it's gotta be Ben Stiller. I almost went Adam McKay as well.
Okay, yeah.
Adam McKay definitely would fit the tone of my life, I'd say.
I'm sure he's got another movie on another financial crisis or something to make after this. So
yeah, no, he's too good to make fun movies anymore.
Exactly.
Now he's making serious movies now. But that's our game, guys. That is our pitching of our coming of age movies. Which movie would you go see? Let us know. Speaking of which, of where to let us know, I'm gonna get into some housekeeping stuff real quick. Make sure you are following the podcast Twitter at Deezus Take the Reel, and make sure you're following that so you can retweet all the episodes and share the stuff. I was going for something there. Share the stuff. Make sure you are checking us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Deezus Take the Reel. $1 a month can help make the show bigger and better. It can do longer episodes, more segments. Deez and T Money can be its own show. We can start doing some merch. That could be a thing. Ooh, yeah.
What kind of merch would that look like?
I don't know. I have a hat already that says Deezus on it that I made for myself.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
Devon will sell you his hat.
Be on the market. That could be like a big Patreon giveaway or something. I don't think anybody wants my hat. I don't think I'm on that level of notoriety yet where people want my hat. But thank you for this.
Well, one day.
That's really the goal here. So yeah, definitely make sure you guys are checking out the Patreon, and depending on how much you donate, if you donate in the $3 or the $5 tier, you can get some perks like we do a monthly Skype session, give you some extra shout-outs. We'll have some Patreon exclusive episodes. So definitely make sure you guys check out the Patreon account, patreon.com/Deezus Take the Reel. And last but not least, of course, iTunes reviews. You guys know I love me some 5-star iTunes reviews that make me feel good about myself and and make me feel like I'm doing something productive here. But also, it helps make people find Deezus Take the Reel. Helps spread the dope word, guys, so that way more people can find and listen to the show. 5-star reviews get you a shout out on the show, and we will read the review on the D's and T Money show, which is every other Friday. So make sure you guys are getting those reviews in. Oh, and one more thing. We're still doing a giveaway at the end of the month. To win a secret special prize, all you have to do is be subscribed to the show, screenshot it so that way I know you're subscribed, and then with your favorite movie, and DM that to me, and you'll be entered in for the giveaway. We'll still do that for a couple more weeks, so you still got some time to do that. Anyways, enough bullshit. Let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. We're here to talk some movies. That's what we're here for. And so we're talking coming-of-age movies. And Jonathan, you want to tell the people what you chose?
Well, I chose the movie that for the last 4 or 5 years now has been my favorite movie of all time. It did get recently supplanted by Short Term 12, but this movie has meant more to me over the last couple of years than almost any other work of art out there. It's Perks of Being a Wallflower, directed and written by Mr. Steven Chbosky. It is one of the few masterpieces of cinema that I hold dear to my heart.
So what the first time you watched it, were you like affected immediately, or was it kind of one of those ones that you kind of kept returning to at certain points? Or
so the first time I saw Perks of Being a Wallflower, I was staying with some friends in the cities, and we had just been talking about life. We've been swapping life stories, and they had kind of a similar background to me. We'd struggled with some of the similar stuff, and at the end of it, she looked at me and said, "I have this book and this movie that you need to see." And we sat down on the couch. She stuck it in the DVD player. We sat there, wept for 2 hours straight as the movie rolled by. And then at the end of it, because it is based upon a book, a YA novel from a little bit before that, she handed me her copy of Perks, which she'd kind of been passing around with her friends, and everyone had taken a different color of pen and underlined different parts of the books that meant the most to them, and like everything, it was covered in ink, front to back. And she said, "Add your notes to it, read this, and then bring it back to me when you're done." And it was one of the most like life-changing reading and movie experiences of my life, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Interesting. See, I still haven't read the book yet, but like I said, I already kind of talked about my first experience watching it, where, yeah, it was just like, watched it and was just like crying for like literally 2 hours. But are you usually somebody with book to movie adaptations? Does it bug you much? You really care?
I am.
Was there notable differences?
I fortunately saw the movie before the book. Before I read the book, I've had some people who read the book before saw the movie who felt a little more negative on the movie because the movie is a little bit more. It's a little less dour than the book. The book has a lot more gravity to it, a lot more darkness in it, that the movie, just for the sake of length, kind of brushes past.
Yeah, the movie doesn't really get dark until the third act, and
yes.
And like you said, they do kind of breeze through it when Charlie does get real bad and then he gets admitted. But yeah, no, they definitely do kind of gloss over that really, really quick in the movie. And the movie, like I said, I haven't read the book either, so I watched it, and I watched the first half of it, and what really got me was just like this exuberance of watching these people. I didn't have like a super fun high school experience. Like, I'm not one of those. It wasn't bad per se, but I also just like didn't love high school or anything.
Yeah.
And it's like watching, I never had that like group of friends that was like, they were so tight knit in the way they embraced Charlie, and especially with the way what he had been going through, and they didn't even know that and stuff, and just like every social situation he was put through was just, I just felt it. I could relate to it. Performances are great. What's one of your favorite aspects of the movie?
Well, bunny trailing off of that, because one of the most significant reasons I think why it worked so well and why everything feels so real if you watch the special features of the movie, Steven Chbosky tells a story about how they filmed. There's a scene that takes place at prom, and due to the way life had gone for Logan Lerman and Emma Watson and Ezra Miller and the entire team, none of them had ever been to a prom before. Like they'd all gone to smaller schools, or they'd gone straight into acting and had tutors, so they never got to experience that for themselves, because high school just wasn't that way for them. So they got to live through those years of high school for the first time on set during the summer when they filmed it, which meant that they were experiencing those emotions almost as if they were living them themselves. So they like threw like a mock prom for them. They did. They threw a mock prom for the cast. Awesome. And just you can feel how real everything and how raw everything is. And these actors relatively at the beginning of their careers, who are just starting to really get into more serious roles, there's just so much genuineness to their performances that every time it hits me so hard, especially with Logan Lerman's character, who is phenomenally performed.
Yeah, that's what really made me start paying attention to Logan Lerman. And I was telling you earlier today, like, Logan Lerman's one of my favorite working actors today, who I don't think is getting the attention he deserves. Like, he is a fantastic actor, but then, like you said, but just the cast in general, but particularly Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, Ezra Miller. I mean, just all three of them. They performed together well, but then on their own, they also shine. They've really brought this levity and genuineness to these characters that, I 100 bought in. And I remember just watching the movie, I was just like, man, to have that would have been just amazing in high school, especially with the way that Charlie was, and, all the things he was dealing with. Yeah. I love any movie where music is very important. The soundtrack is obviously very important to the movie itself. I
didn't think I could possibly love Heroes by Bowie any more than I already did, but that song just wrecks me every time.
It's literally one of those songs, like, I love having songs that I associate movies with.
Yep.
I joke on Twitter all the time, but it's actually not really a joke. We have a guitar player at where I work, and he plays on the weekends, and he plays "Hurt" by Johnny Cash.
Okay.
And I tell him to play it even slower, so it's just even more sad. I just think of Logan. I'm just like, I definitely, but I get that whenever I hear "Heroes" by David Bowie. And the movie it works. Mm-hmm. It really does. I can't really explain it any further than that. It doesn't have a lot of flaws to it either. You have to really kind of nitpick if you want to kind of pick the part.
There are some pacing issues.
There's some pacing issues.
It's got that weird, that glossy finish that YA movies tend to have, where it all kind of ties together a little too nicely. But it's, in general,
it's a little too nicely, and the third act in general was just really rushed.
It really was. And the thing about that compared to the book, a lot of what you see in the third act in the book isn't even really shown on screen, because the book is written in a series of diary entries from Charlie. So when things really get bad for him, he loses control and he can't write diary entries anymore. And in the book goes into an epilogue very abruptly. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read the book. And you're just kind of left wondering what exactly happened, and the epilogue kicks in, and you kind of understand. You kind of filled in with the kind of vague details. The movie tries to flesh that out a little more, and by doing that, it kind of rushes through some stuff in a questionable way. But that's almost become an acquired taste for me, because in the end, the things that I love the most about Perks aren't necessarily the individual collections of scene. It's the moments. It's the little quotes that stick with you forever. We accept the love that we think we deserve will always be something just ingrained into my memory as one of my life phrases that always is ringing in my ear when I'm making decisions, because it's something that rings very true for me. It's something that I'm always trying to remember. So just little moments like that stick out are why I love Perks so much.
I think that's the best way to describe that, is it is this kind of collection of moments, like you said, or, just the genuine feelings that you see in it, especially with I love this odd non-conventional romance between Charlie and Sam. It's very different, with the age difference and just kind of the way everything is. She has her boyfriend, and you can tell that, things are one way, and she knows the way that Charlie feels and stuff. And it's like, so you see her struggling with that. So it's like, I think that's a really interesting romance as well. And, you know, I'm a big hopeless romantic. I fucking love just sappy stuff. So it's like, I could also connect with him on that yearning level, you know.
And for me, the thing that she tells him in that last scene where she says something along the line, I always mess up this quote, but something along the lines of, you can't sit around and do exactly what you think everyone else wants you to do and call that love. That's what's been hitting me the hardest every time I watch the movie lately, because it's something that kind of encapsulates what it's like for me to be a 20-something now, and you know, messing up relationships like we're apt to do, is just that idea that sometimes being that selfless person, that hopeless romantic who always wants to do what's best for everyone else, isn't always the best thing to do, and it isn't always even the most loving thing to do for anyone.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like that, and it's like interesting because of, like I said, with the age difference between them, is like, you know, she's kind of been around a little bit more, and this is like new and intense for him, and she's kind of being just like, hey, I know things aren't the way you want them to be between us, because obviously, you know, she had her boyfriend and whatnot, but like, you should also just kind of enjoy it for what it is.
Exactly.
You know, versus, you know, Charlie wanted this perfect something, and he's like, you know, wanted to do everything right and stuff. It's just everything about it, about the movie is just, it just works.
It
like
does.
something
it really
about it, it's a very easygoing, organic, like feeling movie. Like I don't feel like this movie, anything feels forced in it.
Definitely not.
But yeah, no, like I said, watching it, I watched it at like 1 a.m. for the first time, and it was just like, I was just like, I am just over. It was my freshman year of college too.
Okay, yeah.
So I was just like, I am overcome with emotions right now. It was
the glass cage of emotion around you was very, very tight.
Yes, it was indeed. It's a fantastic movie, great pick. And then, so the movie that I picked to kind of contrast with that is a movie that came out a year later, also starring Logan Lerman. And it is a little gem that I found on Netflix, like by chance one day. And it is, I've seen this movie, I don't know how many fucking times, gotta love it so much. It is Stuck in Love, starring Nat Wolff, Lily Collins, you got Greg Kinnear, Jennifer Connelly. It has this big ensemble cast. And I don't even know how I stumbled across it. It was just on Netflix one day and just decided to watch it. And man, this movie hit me real good. So you got basically you got this family of writers who are dealing with love in different facets in different ways. You got the youngest experiencing love for the first time. You got the older sister who is very cynical about love and like kind of resents it. And then you got the dad who is recently divorced and is still in love with the wife and wants her back. Just this weird storytelling that does with that, like I said, like kind of splitting them up and doing this like 3-level system with it is really fascinating to me, because it's just like I said, like I'm a hopeless romantic. I love everything about love, the idea of it, and it's just like, it's really this deconstruction of like 3 different angles of it, which I find very interesting. So you watched it for the first time in preparation for the show, and initial thoughts and reactions.
Yes, I watched it for the first time almost 24 hours ago, because I watched it as I was getting ready to get on my plane to fly out here to Chicago, and I had heard next to nothing about this movie before I watched it. The only person who'd ever recommended it to me was Devon in prep for this episode when we first started planning it months ago. Just never got around to seeing it, and oh my god, I cannot believe it took me so damn long to see this movie, because you're right. It's so, the way that the stories are contrasted, the way that they're able to show that hurt, the way that hurt people choose to love in different ways is absolutely brilliant. I felt for every character on screen. Every single person's arc hit me in a different way, but they all felt very like they were plucked out of reality. It was phenomenal. I cannot praise this movie enough.
It's really good, and it's like something that, you know, you learn as you get older. And like that's the great thing about this movie is like I said, I keep watching. I think I watched it for the first time like I don't know, like 3 years ago, I'd say. And since then I keep watching, and I can still get new things out of it because like it really, illustrates like, love sucks sometimes. It hurts sometimes. It's not always pretty. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to be. Even when you are happy, it still sometimes hurts. Like, and it's just, it's so interesting to me. So it's like every time that I keep watching, I'm in different phases of my life where I'm in a relationship, not in a relationship. Like I can watch it either way and still get something out of it.
Yep.
It has my favorite opening line, or one of my favorite opening lines of any movie, with Nat Wolff's character, Rusty, the opening line of his poem. I remember that hurt. Looking at her hurt. Like, I love that line so much because it's so, it's sappy and romantic, but damn, it's like, it's so...
And there's this thing that really good coming of age movies can do where they show kind of the immaturity and the sappiness of being in high school, but also they don't overplay it and they don't do it condescendingly because when you're in high school and you're feeling those maybe underdeveloped feelings, they're the most real thing in the world to you. And I hate when movies, especially in the YA genre, the coming of age genre, treat high school characters just like they're dumb, just like they're disposable dumb characters.
They'll downplay it like oh, what you're feeling, that's not real because you're young, or like something stupid like that.
And with years of perspective, sure, maybe, but in that moment, that pain that you're feeling or that strong emotion you're feeling, it's everything. And it's something that's stuck in love because it's showing people at 3 different points in life. Every single person's feelings felt valid to me, which is a balance that you almost never see. It's usually they stick to one age, and that one, if it's done really well, is done respectfully, but you almost always have the dumb parents or the dumb kid or the dumb older sibling because it's hard to balance people who are at different stages in life. This movie was able to do it, and it shocked me how well it pulled it off.
Yeah, and and to like compare and contrast it with Perks of Being a Wallflower, everything about each character, their relationships like felt very genuine to me. Like, I especially latch on to Rusty and God, what's it? I always forget her character's name. Kate, Rusty and Kate. They have just this very genuine, pure high school love. Like you can see it, and especially like she's already kind of a little more experienced than him, and like that kind of aspect, and all the intricacies with her character as well, which she's a very good performance by her too. Liana Liberato, she's a really good actress. She was in something else, can't remember what, but
If I Stay.
Yes, I love that movie.
I still haven't seen it, but I know I love the soundtrack. So
it's
we'll
sappy
see.
as fuck.
Oh, I can tell. Like
It's
just looking at the
sappy as
cover,
fuck.
my God.
It's sappy as fuck, but I love it. But yeah, no. I there's something just really pure and just like that unabashful love that they have that's like really interesting. So it's like I said, like I love seeing the aspect of him experience it for the first time, and then you have Lily Collins' character Sam, who has seen her parents go through divorce. She's in college, so she's just like, love doesn't exist, fuck love, blah blah blah, I don't do this, I just sleep around. And then she gets in another great relationship with Lou, played by Logan Lerman. Just like theirs is really interesting because he's so patient with her, and he's just so genuine and wants to just be there for her, and like as much as she like keeps pushing away, and it's very endearing.
I think my favorite scene in the movie, and it was pretty early on, because Lou was the character that I identified with the most, and the moment
I bet we have the same favorite scene. But
the moment when he's first taking her out for coffee, and she storms out on him when he brings up his favorite book. And they have that conversation outside where he cracks finally, and he kind of confronts her ideas of love and how she's trying to make this work. Just Logan Lerman's performance there, and the way that he phrases things, it's so on one hand, whenever a character lashes out in a movie, sometimes it's done, it's overdone or it's underdone. Lerman sells it, and it feels exactly like, as someone who's said pretty much the same thing a couple times, and it hasn't worked out as well as it did for Logan Lerman. It definitely, I could hear the words coming out of my own mouth, and it felt like life to me. And I paused the movie at that point, and I just stared at it, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. I like this movie now. We're moving on.
Yeah, like that's not my favorite scene. We didn't have the same one, but I love just any of the sequences between them two. Especially one, I still have yet to. I keep saying I'm gonna do the move he does, where he's just like, she doesn't want to hang out with me. He's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna take your jacket.
Yes,
so
yes.
If you want this, you can come get a coffee or something. And then she's just like, wait, what? He like literally just steals her jacket and walks away. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that one day, but like that's a hard move to pull off.
With my luck, security would get called at that moment, and it would end real badly.
Yeah, you have to have impeccable timing to like pull that move off, because like if it doesn't work out perfectly, like you're either getting slapped or arrested. But he pulled it off gracefully. I love the scene whenever she like stalks him to his mom's house, and that's real interesting because she's just like, fuck, he's a good ass guy. Like, why am I being stupid?
You know what I loved about that scene? Because in a different, more poorly written movie, like they would have locked eyes while he was reading, and like a sappy song would have started playing. But he's so focused on taking care of his mom that he doesn't even see her there. It's the mom who sees it, and the mom brings her in, and it just, the way that is structured, I loved it, because I was expecting him to do that whole like where he just glances up and he keeps reading and gets a nice little smile on his face, and like some stupid pop song starts playing in the background, and no, it didn't happen that way.
No, that's a very good point on something like really little, and and you say like it wouldn't have been pulled off as well in the scene that you're talking about, when he's like expressing like what his intentions are and that kind of stuff. It's like that's literally on their like third time meeting, and it's like any other time you'd be like, do you really feel that way? Because you guys really just kind of met, but at the same time you're just like, I know what it's like to like when you like meet somebody and just like instantly want to know more about them,
exactly.
And like, so it's like, again, just like sold. And then you have the level with the dad. And, that's very interesting and complicated, because it's like he's been through it. Bill, he is a successful writer, and, he's just moping, and he knows he fucked up. And then it's like you find out later in the movie, spoilers for a 4-year-old movie, spoilers. But, you find out that he fucked up big time and cheated on the wife. And then so it's all, he wants her back. He, believes that she's going to come back, and everybody's just like, you need to move on with your life. And he tries to. And even Kristen Bell in there, like, for her few scenes is fantastic.
She does exactly what she needs to do for the scene.
Yes.
But no, in that moment where you find out the big secret of the movie, the big plot twist, the whole movie, he keeps on telling his wife, I promised you something. I promised. And you keep thinking it's like the wedding vow, like, I'll be with you forever.
Yeah.
I bought that hook, line, and sinker. And then you find out in that twist what he really means. And because, the story is, the daughter doesn't know what happened. You are in the daughter's shoes in that moment, because it's a punch in the gut, because you think that he's just this obsessed lunatic for the whole movie. Then you realize, no, he fucked up. And
and you also think that the mom's shitty. Like Lily Collins' character does. So it's you feel that, and
somehow this movie puts you in the shoes of every single character at least once.
Yeah, it really does. Like it kind of just shifts the perspective, like depending on who they're kind of focusing in on the time. But I love how they all connect at the same time as well,
without feeling tonally inconsistent too. It never really felt like it was watching six different movies. It was the same movie all the way through, the same style, the same tone, but you got to taste the life of everyone.
Yeah, like even in the times where it does get real dark at times, the scene at Sam's celebration, and then all the stuff that follows with that, it's like it gets real dark for a second. It's like, oh shit, like, oh man, and then the rest, and then it kind of finishes out pretty sad for the most part. And like you said, you don't get the squeaky clean ending of this one.
Yep.
Kind of, you did kind of mention, like, I mean, Perks, like, I won't say it's a squeaky clean ending, but it is a little bit nicer, a little bit more polished. It's kind of like,
everyone ends generally happy at the end of Perks. Not everyone ends happy and stuck in love.
Like, I won't spoil this movie anymore because you do need to just go watch it. But man, poor Rusty.
Yeah.
Because he really just gets the end of the stick on this one.
But at the same time, you know that moving forward,
he learned.
Yeah.
He learned the most, arguably, out of the three of them. You know, going through their different situations, he learned the most.
And he learned because you know at the beginning of the movie, like his dad tells him to go live his life, and he tries to like put on this like asshole front, and he's like trying to be like this confident tough guy at the party, and you can tell that if things went his way, that's kind of what he would have learned, is that you've got to put on an act. He learns how to be himself, but how to be a version of himself that is able to handle how hard life can be. And it's beautiful how they paint it.
It's kind of crazy that you get 3 full arcs like in a movie. I mean, there's some movies that struggle. There's some movies that struggle to do that with, you know, one character to have a complete character arc, let alone, you know, almost everybody does have some sort of arc in this film. And it's crazy. And then the last thing I'll say to close it out, and it, you know, kind of comes full circle, because like another little small nuance about the movie is like you mentioned the pacing, and it gives us exactly 1 year, like paced out very perfectly. Like you see this year like throughout its entirety, and then it literally ends the movie where it starts on Thanksgiving dinner, which I think is a really nice little cool thing.
So yeah, ignore the critics on this one, because for some reason this movie got shat on by the critics, and it's good.
It beats me.
Damn good.
It beats me. It definitely in the past couple of years it's developed a little bit of a cult following. Go on Tumblr and you'll find plenty of Stuck in Love fans.
I need to find some GIFs now that I'm
Stuck in Love is a Tumblr fan's dream.
I know, right? A bunch of misunderstood writers. Like I can.
It's a treasure trove. And the GIFs are definitely off the chain. But 2 like incredible coming of age movies, like for real. Like I can literally turn either of these on right now and cry if I wanted to.
I fully intend, because I've had Perks of Being a Wallflower watch parties. I've probably shown it to probably 20 people. I will be doing that with Stuck in Love now, because there's a lot of people who I know need to see this movie.
Like I really want more people to watch it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And then before we close out the show, story time, got a fun fact here. So with Perks of Being a Wallflower, I was Googling some stuff. So Perks of Being a Wallflower, originally John Hughes bought the rights to the book.
Oh, really?
And he started writing a screenplay, and he never finished it. But he did have his actors in mind who would want to play. He would have had, so just think of this, written by John Hughes, which I don't love John Hughes that much.
I was about to say, I can't see him.
I'm not a big John Hughes. It would have been too squeaky clean.
Exactly.
But the cast would have been Shia LaBeouf as Charlie.
Oh my fuck. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh, my boy. And then Kirsten Dunst as Sam, which is a very interesting pick. I could get down that. And then Patrick Fugit as Patrick from Almost Famous and Wrist Cutters.
I feel like he saw the same first name and was like, fuck it, this will work.
And that would have been like a little while back. It was supposed to be John Hughes' directorial comeback. But it would have been a more black comedy style, is what it said.
Well, thank you, John Hughes, for not making this movie.
That would have been real interesting.
I would go so far to say as it probably would have been bad.
I wouldn't say it'd be bad. I just don't think it definitely wouldn't have been what we got. For sure. It would not have been even close. That sounds like a completely different movie, but I love all those people. Except John Hughes, really. I'm actually not a huge John Hughes fan.
Well, like John Hughes has debatably made like 2 good movies, maybe 3.
I was talking with somebody the other day, like John Hughes literally, you know, because we said like the coming of age, formula has been pretty much the same for the past 35 years, and like John Hughes like had it down to a fucking T, and he literally had a template that he made the same movie like 6 times.
Yep. And I'd say a lot of them are kind of shitty.
I like Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club is amazing.
Breakfast Club is the only one that I will say is a bona fide masterpiece.
Breakfast Club is great. Ferris Bueller is pretty good.
I think Ferris Bueller's very overrated.
I would agree completely. Anyone who says Bueller is the best one needs to like go check themselves.
No, they're wrong.
They're wrong.
16 Candles is very racist towards Asian people.
16 Candles is
and
very
just not good.
Like it's a bad. Like I just saw 16 Candles for the first time, and I almost couldn't make it all the way through.
It's not a good movie.
It's shit.
It
is absolute
not a good
shit.
movie. Pretty in Pink. It's pretty decent.
But it's not John Hughes.
Oh, Pretty in Pink.
John Hughes didn't direct Pretty in Pink.
Oh well, Pretty in Pink is solid, anyways. Well, I guess I just said tribute just because of Molly Ringwald.
Well, yeah, and I think he wrote it, but I know he didn't direct it.
I feel like he was involved. He had to have been.
Yes,
involved.
he was in part of the production for it, but Zoe Deutsch's dad, I believe, actually directed it. I forget.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yep. Howard Deutsch directed it, and John Hughes wrote it.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, John Hughes. He's all right. He's all right, I guess.
He's fine. He's good.
He's fine. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show here real quick. We got our last segment is story time. So we're talking coming of age movies. We've been talking about kind of this, coming of age formula, if you will. And so I was thinking in my head, lots of coming of age films, you had the point where the character that you're following, usually in their teenage years, lashes out. He lashes out, he, just because we're both he's at the moment, but he or she lashes out uncharacteristically and does something. We talked about it. Stuck in Love, definitely had a little lash out. Perks, not really. Perks, his parents told him to go out, so I mean, not really.
The scene in Perks, the scene in the lunchroom where
okay,
that's kind of the moment. Yeah, there's always that moment of anger.
So a lash there. So the story time is, Johnny, when was the time angsty teenage Johnny lashed out?
Well, I thought about a couple of different stories. See, I growing up, I was never really overly violent because I'm puny and small.
Well, not even just violent either, just kind of,
But there was
out.
There's one story that sticks out in my head. The one time that I have rode in the back of a cop car, when I was 15. My girlfriend and I at the time decided that the best course of action to get away from our obnoxious parents who were trying to tell us what to do is obviously to try to run away. As people who couldn't drive and people who, had no real way of getting away with it because we were dumb fucking teenagers. So we got pretty damn far. Like we were about to get on we were almost ready to get on a Greyhound.
What?
Yeah, and I live in like backwoods country Minnesota. So like the closest station
and this was when you were 15.
I was about 15, yeah. I might have been just turning 16 at the time. But it was like 20 miles that we ended up getting. Combination of on foot and like bike. And we were about to get on a Greyhound, and we ended up getting picked up by the police because our parents realized that we had run away. Got to ride in a cop car for about 20 miles back home and get deposited on my front porch. My parents were none too happy. And that was probably the most rebellious, lashing out, stupid fucking thing I did when I was a teenager.
I'll give you some props there.
Props for being really dumb.
You made it pretty far, but you hit the common problem most people don't plan out their runaways very well.
They
don't. Runaways are very spontaneous, and nobody ever plans them out very well, so they're usually not executed
and you
too
can't
well.
really like you do in the cartoons where you grab like a stick and a handkerchief anymore. Like
speaking of which, as a little kid I used to try to do that all the time, and it does not make sense.
It doesn't.
The physics of putting things in a bandana and then tying it to it does not make sense.
It just slides down the stick.
It just slides down the stick, or it comes undone, and everything. Like, it is not very efficient whatsoever.
You can't fit much in a handkerchief.
And you cannot fit much. Like, I used to do that as a kid. I would try to do it, and I'm like, this makes zero sense. Dumb little kids. See, the thing is, I never really lashed out, like, especially not in high school. Like, my dad, he's a very intimidating man. I'm not scared of many people, and I am terrified of my father.
Okay.
So I am one of those people, like, I was a very good kid in high school. Did not lash out too much. But I guess, the people will get a little taste of it in the after credits, I suppose. But, we're talking about early, me being a big old stoner. So my dad, also a stoner, well, was formerly. And he would always be like, well, just because I smoke weed don't mean you can't. And I said, well, okay, because I was terrified of my father for the longest time. So, like, I was a late bloomer. I didn't smoke for the first time till I was like 19, maybe 20 even, but it was more just due to circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm moved out of the house, and my parents were real chill and stuff. Like, I don't have to like hide anything from them, or like I can be an adult around them.
Yeah.
Like, come and go as I please when I go home. I say whatever I want, all that good stuff, and it's whatever. But then for some reason, though, in the back of my mind, like, I still recalled those high school years of my dad telling me not to smoke weed. So it was like for the like year and a half, I like still hid it. And I'm like, I'm 20 years old. Why am I still hiding this from my parents right now? Like especially because if you knew my parents, like, my parents are very, free spirit. They're young. They're very out, like, liberal. They're not your typical parents. So it's like, people are like, you don't have to hide anything from your parents. Why would you do that? I'm just like, I don't know. You never know when my dad's lurking. But then whenever he discovered that I was smoking weed, he was just like, okay, you want to smoke? And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no. I was like, we could have been smoking together this whole time? I was like, what the hell? So I wouldn't say I lashed out, but I definitely I never, like I said,
you came into your own. You were able to
a little bit. Like I said, I've always I have a very deep respect for my father, but then it's also a deep fear that my dad is around the corner ready to kick my ass.
6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's basically the same thing.
So that's always the fear that I've had. Yeah, so I think we covered a wide base of coming of age topics.
It's my favorite genre of movies, so it's fun to talk about.
It, like I said, like, even though it has kind of had like the same formula, it's been doing its thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, it works. Like, it is a very successful genre still. We still get very good coming of age movies, because you were originally inspired for the episode whenever Edge of 17 came out. That was a really good one.
Oh my God. So we were talking about this like late last year. It took us a while to get around to this.
Yeah, that's what inspired talking coming of age movies was Edge of 17. But yeah, no, we definitely still get very good coming of age movies. I think it's just because like it's such a wide range of accessibility, because like everybody's coming of age story, like their own personal story, is different,
But everyone was at one point a teenager, so we all kind of get what it's like to feel misunderstood and
yeah, like I think teenage years is like the closest that like anybody is like the same, yet at the same time so different. In teenage years. But yeah, everybody has their own coming of age story, so it's like it's interesting when you find like I feel like everybody has like their coming of age story that they relate to the most, because when they can like point to it and be like, yeah, that was me, I feel that, So I think that's what makes them great. So definitely some good movies. Perks of Being a Wallflower and Stuck in Love. Check them out if you have not. Johnny, where can the good people find you so they can keep up with you?
Well, keep up to date with our articles on geeksandgamers.com. We've got some awesome content coming out there. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Youngblood _95, YOUNGBLOOD _95. And just join the Facebook group Movie Talk by Movie Fans. There's a lot of great discussion going on over there. You can hang out with me and Devon and watch us, yell at some trolls and yell at people who keep talking about BVS for too long. Yes. Join us. Yeah, definitely make sure you guys are checking out Movie Talk by Movie Fans. It's always a good time, so you can chit-chat some movies with us. But as always, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Deezus12. Follow the podcast at Deezus TT Reel.
Find me on Instagram, Deezus.12, and then you can now find me. I have a couple reviews up on geeksandgamers.com, so double plug. Get some double plug action, 50 Shades style. I was like, ew. I was like, it just said double plug. I was like, that's gross. But yeah, make sure, just make sure you guys are checking us out, guys. And that will go ahead and do it. And just make sure you're telling your friends. Spread the dope word, guys. We will catch you later. Peace out, motherfuckers. Thank you so much for listening to Deezus Take the Reel, the dopest movie talk show on the internet. You can find me every Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play Music, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. If you like what you're listening to, write a 5-star iTunes review, and I'll read it on the Deez and T Money Show, which is every other Friday. And of course, spread this with ya homies. Last but not least, stay till the end for a little pre-recording something. Peace out, motherfuckers. But yeah, no, that was the best part about when we went up when I was in Oregon.
Yeah.
Because it was funny, because I was like hitting up my friend that, usually hooks me up, and I was like, hey, you got friends in Oregon? And she was like, I mean, yeah, but what for? And then I was like, I'm gonna need a hookup while I'm up there. I can't take you on the plane. And she goes, Devon, you're going to Oregon.
Exactly.
And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, it's legal in Oregon. I totally blanked on it. Because like I know Washington, I know Colorado, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, those are the two that everyone talks about. But
yeah. And in Oregon it's super chill too. Like literally, so I like got into the airport, and then one of my friends that Peter, who hosts on Courts and Parts Podcast Network, he was picking me up, and then I was like, all right. I was like, you know where I need to go first. But it was just real funny, because like we'd be at the festival, and like the hotel obviously couldn't like smoke inside or whatever.
Yeah. But
then you'd like go outside, and it's like you'd see some people smoking cigarettes, you'd see some people smoking joints, and it was just like everybody was super casual about it. So that made me real happy.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
I dabbled my way a little bit through Texas, but now that I'm back up north again, I've got way more things on the pot that I need to protect that I don't want the possibility of getting in trouble. I
mean, I don't blame you, but I mean, little breakfast diner me right now, I can pretty much do whatever I want. I don't know. It's a big part of how I watch movies. Like,
I know,
as
right?
weird as that sounds,
does it heighten your senses, or does it like
I'm a very functional stoner for one, so that's why like I do so. Like, I mean, most podcast stuff I'm always stoned during, but I don't know. Just like something about like if I'm especially like at home is where the biggest difference is. Because like if I'm at home and I'm just watching a movie sober, that's like I just want to I'll check my phone more often and like that kind of stuff. Like if I'm stoned, I'm watching a movie at home, I am zoned in and I am ready to watch this movie. And
Navarro's
I'm ready to think about it. I'm ready to talk about it. Like I'm ready to like dissect it a little bit more.
There are a lot of people who like it helps them better analyze film because it takes away a lot of the excess noise.
It kind of does, because I think people, especially it's like, okay, it's 2017 now. I think the misconception can go away of, oh, I'm about to watch a movie stoned. Oh my God, I'm gonna see just monsters and crazy colors everywhere. Yeah. It's like that's not
how it works.
Like. Yeah. I just watch it because like especially at home, it's kind of the best. Cause like I got my purple strobe lights on stuff, and then I'm just real chill. But I mean, same goes for whenever I go to a theater too, though. Just because I'm all about like the theater experience. Like I ate a lot of edibles before Kong Skull Island, and I had a blast.
I can imagine that being a lot more fun.
I had a blast watching that movie, as you can imagine. Like, oh my goodness, it all started kicking in when Kong was like the very first scene where we see Kong when they're flying into the island, like after they fly through the storm. That's when it started kicking in, like during that action scene, and I was just like, "This is awesome,
dude! That sounds amazing."
So I think I enjoyed Kong Skull Island a lot more than other people that night.
Yep,
it was a good time though.